resignations in 3 days in Ferguson. The latest Ferguson police chief. KOMU8 News at 10 starts now. I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Jim Murray. Thanks for joining us. This comes after the city manager stepped down yesterday and the municipal judge resigned Monday. The city and police chief Thomas Jackson have agreed to what they're calling a mutual separation. Jackson was reprimanded for running a racially biased department in a highly critical investigation by the Department of Justice.
Tonight, Columbia citizens are reacting to the resignation. KOMU8's Cody Crutchfield is in the studio with more from the Citizens Police Review Board.
I spoke to the Review Board's chairman, James Martin, about the resignation, and he felt it was a positive change. He told me that in many situations like Ferguson, the ones that are in charge often step aside and let the community bring in new faces to solve the many issues facing the community, which is the best thing to do. When I asked if anyone would want to be the new police chief after all the public uproar from the death of Michael Brown, his answer may surprise you.
I think it's an appealing job. That there should be a bumper crop of people who will come in and say, you know, we can do this job and we can make everything right for the citizen here.
He went on later to say he believes there's a nationwide situation where it seems like racism is rearing its head again, but also believes none of these issues are currently a problem with the police department in Columbia. The Ferguson police chief's last day will be March 19th.
A group of African-American Missouri legislators criticized the House leadership's response to Ferguson today. Members of the Missouri Legislative Black Caucus say leaders are ignoring legislation related to Ferguson designed to reform the criminal justice system. Black Caucus leader Brandon Ellington says the majority won't listen to caucus members.
The ideal that I think is that they believe that so-called minorities are against the police department, police officers, and law enforcement, and that is not the case.
House Speaker John Deal responded to those accusations. He says Ellington's statements are inaccurate and that he's referred 42 of 43 Ferguson-related bills to committee, where many have received public hearings. To read Deal's full statement, visit our website, KOMU.com.
An update to a story we brought you last night after an investigation revealed offensive comments on the Sigma Chi fraternity private social media page. Westminster College and Sigma Chi International suspended the college's chapter indefinitely. The original suspension was for the semester. In a statement, President George Forsyth said, in part, quote, "These comments are in direct conflict with everything Westminster College stands for, including our value of respect for others. These young men and their comments are in no way reflective of the Westminster community."
2 of 3 passengers were sent to the hospital with minor injuries after their plane crashed into the water in Osage Beach. That's near Lake of the Ozarks.
We don't know the status of the passengers or why the plane crashed. KOMU8's Angela Pearson is here in the studio to tell us what we do know.
The Osage Beach Fire Department was notified of the crash around 12:30 this afternoon. The fire department found the passengers on the shoreline when they arrived on the scene. The plane took off from Grand Glaze Airport and was en route to Creve Coeur. Marine operations attempted to pull the plane out of the water using a crane. The crane attachment came off and the plane went into the water again, this time completely submerged. Crews tried a second time and were successful in retrieving the plane. The Federal Aviation Administration will conduct an investigation into the crash.
University of Missouri police say they've identified the body found at Hinkson Creek. Kyle Christopher Crowley was found yesterday morning. Police say he was not an MU student. An autopsy was conducted this morning and a toxicology exam will also be done. There's no official cause of death yet, but police do not suspect foul play.
Gasconade County Sheriff's deputies are still looking for a man wanted for a car theft. They ended the manhunt for Matthew Schmidt about 5 p.m. yesterday. At one point, more than 20 deputies and a helicopter joined the search. Schmidt is wanted in connection with yesterday's stolen car case and an outstanding misdemeanor warrant. Authorities believe he is unarmed.
Getting a job after getting out of prison can be very, very difficult. Missouri lawmakers are proposing ways to help working inmates find employment before they're released.
KOMU8's Kamaya Davis joins us live from Job Point to tell us what lawmakers are proposing and where help could be found in Columbia.
The Missouri House of Representatives held a public hearing today to address ways the Department of Corrections could improve the ability of working inmates to gain employment before their release. I'm here at a local center called Job Point that shares the same goal as the bill. The bill would require the Department of Corrections to participate in the federal bonding program so that all working inmates are bonded prior to release, review the types of jobs available for inmates while incarcerated, and issue worker certificates to certain qualified inmates. Helping inmates find work isn't a totally new idea. Job Point is one Columbia center that is aiming to help former inmates with employment. In relation to people who have criminal records, Job Point helps them successfully get back into society. Job Point requires participants to fill out what they call a plan of employment. Now, what this is a form to help participants set career goals throughout their journey here at Job Point. Job Point participant says he was walking past Job Point and something told him to stop by. He said he stopped by because he wanted to better himself.
Never did anything like this before. Like, I'm from New Jersey. I'm used to, like, street stuff, hanging on the corner, doing this, doing that. And then I got into a car accident, put me in a coma. It killed my boys. And when I woke up from the coma months later, my mindset changed. I just wanted to better myself. Job Point Recruiter says their re-entry services is an opportunity for people to get back into the flow of being in the community.
They're human beings. They made a mistake. Could have made mistakes multiple times due to whatever the situation is. But we want to, re-entry to us means any individual that's coming back home, and every one of them is coming back home. Less than 2% stay forever.
The idea with the bill would be to allow even more people opportunities like what Job Point is now providing for some. The proposed effective date for the bill is August 28th. As of now, Missouri House of Representatives have not scheduled the next hearing. Reporting live in Columbia, I'm Kamaya Davis, KMU8 News.
Breaking news at this hour, we've learned there is a manhunt going on Columbia's south side. KMU8's Shay McAllister is live at the scene. Shay, what can you tell us?
Jim, I just got on scene, but I want to show you a little bit of what I'm looking at. Sheriff's deputies were pursuing this car behind me. It ended in this crash. Then Columbia police officers tell me at least 2 suspects fled the car on foot. One is now believed to be in custody. However, the other is still there looking for him. Columbia police officer also told me that canines are involved as they continue to search for the other suspect. They said there's at least 2 involved, might be more. At this hour, that's all we know. I'm right off of Nifong. The crash did happen in this roundabout behind me. As we learn more, we'll keep you updated on KMU8.com, also on our Twitter. Reporting live in Columbia, Shay McAllister, KOMU8 News.
And the weather is making news today. Let's send it over to Kenton for a check of the forecast.
Definitely has, and for the right reasons, Jim, right? It's been a beautiful day. We got up to 74 this afternoon, way above where we were last month, which was actually the highest. We got 69 in February, so today was the warmest day of 2015. In the 50s all across Missouri at this point. Heading towards sunrise, we are going to drop back down into the 40s. Some increasing cloud cover you can see as well on this graphic, getting towards 43 by 7:30 a.m. That's when the sun will be rising in the sky, and then we're going to have increasing cloud cover throughout your day as well. 67 for a high temperature tomorrow afternoon, and we're seeing this increasing cloud cover because rain's on the way. It's going to be here on Friday. I'll tell you when and where you can expect it coming up in a little bit.
Kenton, thanks. A Missouri parent wants harsher penalties for underage drinking.
But it's not for the minors. That story after the break.
Planning for things from biological terrorism to widespread hacking, the Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission held a presentation today to go over its hazard mitigation plan. FEMA requires the plan to be updated every 5 years. The group hopes to broaden the mitigation plan to include technological and human-made hazards rather than just natural disasters. One goal is saving money in the aftermath of disasters.
$1 spent on mitigation projects will save $4 in the costs of recovery after a hazard has occurred. So it's very important to get mitigation projects like getting people out of the floodplain, building tornado-safe rooms.
The commission hopes to have the plan finalized by June.
A new bill would up the consequences for those who knowingly allow a minor to drink or possess liquor. Penalties would increase from a misdemeanor to a felony. This would limit the person convicted from things like voting, owning a gun, possibly even getting hired. Some lawmakers feel the punishment's too harsh, but one Columbia mother says this should have been done a long time ago.
Well, I've known some people from my hometown that were young, and they were driving too fast, and they were drinking underage. And, you know, their parents are just deeply saddened by this. Maybe this would not have happened if they'd have known how serious underage drinking is, and that you can.
If passed, the law would be known as Austin's Law, named after an underage boy who died in a car accident that involved underage drinking. Missouri Highway Patrol is calling one Columbia Marine a good Samaritan.
Steve Whitaker says when he saw a car spin out of control and flip over last week, he knew the driver needed help. Whitaker pulled him to safety. He says the driver seemed intoxicated and was holding a bottle of whiskey. When he called police, Whitaker says the driver stumbled away and went to a nearby home. Homeowner Kenneth Lammers says Whitaker followed the driver to his house.
He introduced himself as a Marine recruiter, and I was glad to see him.
Lammers says he doesn't think the driver was violent, but he's not sure what would have happened if Whitaker had not been there. That driver will remain in the Cooper County Jail until his court date next week. The scandal is growing at the University of Oklahoma following a video of fraternity members doing a racist chant. Now there's a claim the chant was taught to one of them by fellow brothers. The two members who were recently expelled have been identified and are apologizing. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez reports.
On the OU campus, new outrage.
I hope that he genuinely is apologetic and not just apologetic because he got caught.
This morning, the apologies for this video are sinking in. A freshman member of Sigma Alpha Epsilon, Parker Rice, writing, "I am deeply sorry for what I did Saturday night. It was wrong and reckless. I admit it likely was fueled by alcohol consumed at the house before the bus trip, but that's not an excuse." Rice had graduated from this Jesuit prep school in Dallas last year.
I was appalled. I mean, I think it's unconscionable to see what was going on that bus.
In his written statement, Rice said the song was taught to us. Overnight, SAE said it was very likely the men learned the song from fellow chapter members, but reiterated the national fraternity does not teach such a racist, hateful chant. The parents of a second student, Levi Pettit, also apologized. He made a horrible mistake and will live with the consequences forever. However, we also know the depth of our son's character. He's a good boy, but what we saw in those videos is disgusting. The National Fraternity also calling this video posted on social media unacceptable. It shows SAE's longtime house mother at OU using that same racial slur in 2013. Bhutan Gilbo says she is heartbroken by any racist portrayal, and she was only singing along to a rap song. As the scandal widens, hundreds of students marched across campus. A diverse crowd stopping at the SAE house, now shut down.
It's blatant racism, and that's what it is.
I would say that we haven't fallen apart, but some parts of us have started to crumble away, but we're putting it back together.
That was Gabe Gutierrez reporting. A national spokesperson for the fraternity says it's unfair the chapter has been attacked. He says he hopes the fraternity can take the criticisms and prevent events like this in the future.
Heavy fog is most likely to blame for a helicopter crash off the Florida coast that reportedly killed all 11 service members on board. The crash happened during a Special Forces training mission. 7 Marines and 4 Louisiana-based National Guard soldiers were on board. They were practicing insertion and extraction missions, getting troops in and out of target sites using small boats and helicopters. Michigan State Police have new eyes in the sky. The department now has the okay from the Federal Aviation Administration to fly drones. Today, police showed off its newest investigative tool. Police say they plan to use the drone for missions like search and rescue and crash investigations. There are some boundaries. The drone has to be flown by a 2-person crew and cannot fly higher than 400 feet.
Do or die time for the Tiger basketball team. We've got highlights coming up.
I'm standing right off of Nifong Boulevard right now, where here in the last hour or so, a sheriff's deputy's car crash ended in a vehicle collision. Take a look at this car. It is completely destroyed. I'm talking about pieces of it up here next to me, 10 or 15 feet away. The suspects that were driving this car fled on foot. One was caught and taken into custody relatively soon after the collision happened. The other one still at large. Columbia police officers are searching for that suspect and canines are involved. As of right now, that's really all we know, but we will find out more information for you and have that for you as we get updates. Reporting live in Columbia, Shay McAllister, KOMU 8 News.
Thanks, Shay. Looking at 43 by sunrise. We're warming up to another beautiful day tomorrow afternoon. 68 for a high temperature. Increasing cloud cover throughout the afternoon because we do have a little bit of rain moving in on Friday. Not a washout for us. 58 for a high temperature. Warming each day into the weekend until we get to 70 on Monday.